The first thing that hit me is that they cannot look at your eyes for too long without feeling like you have caught them doing something, not physically, emotionally. Like you can see the second their composure slips. And your lips, wow. They have replayed the way your mouth moves when you are trying not to smile, and there is one moment they keep returning to, because they said something they could not take back. This Nine of Wands energy explains why they are fighting themselves so hard. Not because the attraction is weak. The opposite. This is someone standing behind their own defences, exhausted from pretending they are unaffected, still trying to guard the last piece of control they have left. They have been hurt before, misunderstood before, maybe embarrassed for caring too much, so now they watch, calculate, pause. But every time you look at them, those walls feel thinner. And I need to say this carefully because it is intense. They are not only attracted to your face has become a trigger for everything they are trying not to feel. It is like, why do your eyes make me feel exposed? Why does your mouth make me imagine what you would say if we were alone? Why do I remember the smallest changes in your expression? Why did you look at me like that and then act normal afterward? They do not believe you understand your effect. That is almost what makes it worse. You may look away casually, speak normally, laugh, continue with your day, and they are left carrying the moment for hours. Hold on. There is jealousy here too, but they are hiding it under restraint. They notice who receives your attention. They notice who makes you smile. They notice when your energy changes around someone else, and then they tell themselves they have no right to care, except they do care. Deeply. The Nine of Wands is showing the psychology of someone at the edge of surrender. They are tired of resisting, but afraid that one honest move could either bring them closer to you or expose everything. And the strangest part, they are rehearsing a confession that does not sound like a confession. A question, a compliment, maybe a joke with truth inside it, because your eyes make them feel seen, and your lips make them wonder what closeness would feel like. And that is exactly why the words keep getting stuck. Because the second they imagine saying something honest, they also imagine your reaction, the slight lift of your eyebrow, the way your eyes would hold theirs, the possibility that your mouth would curve into that smile they have already memorized. And suddenly they would not know whether you were inviting them closer or quietly letting them know you had figured them out. This full moon energy is exposing what the Nine of Wands has been trying to protect. Everything hidden is becoming harder to keep hidden, so their confession may not begin with, "I want you." It may sound almost harmless. Do you always look at people like that? Or, you know exactly what you are doing, don't you? They might laugh afterward, trying to make it lighter, trying to give themselves an exit, but they will watch your face very carefully. That is the test. They want to see whether your expression changes, whether you become nervous, whether you look away too quickly, or hold their gaze like you understand the real question underneath the words. And this is where it gets interesting. They have already practiced the tone. Casual. Teasing. Controlled. Except when they are actually near you, the control does not hold the way they planned. They lose their train of thought. They begin a sentence, look at your lips, and then suddenly choose different words. They ask something they already know the answer to because they need another reason to keep you talking. They linger after the conversation should have ended. They remember one exact phrase you used days ago, maybe weeks ago, and bring it back as though it was nothing. It was not nothing. They kept it. Hold on. There is also a compliment they have nearly given you more than once. Not something obvious. Something dangerously specific. The kind of compliment that would reveal how closely they have been paying attention. Maybe they almost told you that your eyes change when you are trying not to show emotion. Maybe they started to say they like the way your mouth moves before you laugh. Maybe they said you have this way of... and then stopped. Changed the subject. Looked away. Because finishing that sentence would have told you too much. The full moon here is not creating the feeling, it is illuminating it. Making them aware that every small behaviour is beginning to betray what they have worked so hard to contain, and I do not think they realise how close they have already come. There was a moment when their voice changed around you. A pause that lasted too long. A joke that felt strangely personal. You may have brushed it off, but that was almost a confession. And the reason they pulled back afterward is because that moment changed the entire balance between you. This reversed Wheel of Fortune energy feels like someone realizing they cannot return to the version of the connection that existed before. Before that look, before that pause. Before you said something so softly that they heard it differently from everything else you had said. It may have been the way you said their name. Nothing dramatic, you may not even remember doing it. But your tone shifted, just slightly. Your eyes stayed on them a second longer than necessary, and there was something in your expression that made them wonder whether you were feeling the same thing they were trying so hard to hide. They have replayed that second more times than they would ever admit. Did they mean to do that? Was that look for me? Why did they smile like they knew? And this is what has them caught. They cannot decide whether you consciously opened the door or whether you were simply being yourself, because if you meant it, then they almost missed their chance. But if you did not mean it, then they have built an entire emotional storm around one innocent moment. Hold on. I feel like they tried to recreate it afterward. They may have brought up the same subject again, stood a little closer, used the same teasing tone, watched to see whether your face would soften in the same way. But the second time, they were too aware of what they wanted, too focused on getting a sign, so it did not feel the same. That original moment happened naturally. Neither of you had time to control it, and that is why it became so powerful. The reversed wheel here shows the mind circling one memory because it cannot move forward without understanding what happened. They keep turning it over. Your eyes, their words, the tiny silence afterward, the way you looked away but not before they saw something change, maybe attraction, maybe nervousness, maybe recognition, whatever it was they noticed. And after that, they started behaving differently around you, more careful, more inconsistent. One moment they seem drawn toward you, and the next they create distance. They may become unusually quiet after an intense exchange or disappear emotionally, just when the connection starts feeling obvious. You could interpret that as disinterest. But it is not that simple. They are trying to prevent another moment like that from happening before they are ready, because the first one stayed with them longer than it should have. Their distance is not proof that nothing happened. It may be proof that something happened so strongly they still do not know how to stand near you and act like it did not. And that is why the difference between how they act and how they feel is becoming so extreme. This reversed lover's energy is not showing a lack of connection, it is showing a conflict with the connection. A split between desire and behaviour, between what they want to do and what they believe they are allowed to do. So in front of you they may become controlled, measured, almost too calm. They may answer later than usual. Keep the conversation shorter. Avoid looking directly at you after a moment that felt too intimate. You might even notice a colder tone and think, did I imagine everything? Do not mistake this for indifference. Because when they are alone, the entire interaction changes. They replay what you said. They think of the response they should have given. They remember the exact second your expression shifted, and wonder whether you noticed theirs shift too. They imagine how the conversation might have continued if they had not become nervous, defensive, or afraid of revealing themselves. And I feel like they prepare for you. They mentally rehearse being calmer the next time. They decide they will hold your gaze. They promise themselves they will not become distracted by your mouth when you speak. They plan to act natural, say the right thing, leave at the right moment, then they see you. And all of that preparation becomes useless. One day they avoid your eyes because the feeling is too close to the surface. The next day they look for you because the distance has become unbearable. They want relief from the intensity, but they also want another moment with you badly enough to risk feeling it all again. That is the contradiction. Hold on. The reverse lovers is also showing a choice they keep delaying. Not necessarily a choice between two people, a choice between remaining protected and becoming honest. The Nine of Wands says, stay behind the wall. This energy says, but how much longer can you live there? So, after especially charged moments, they may intentionally reduce contact. Not because they stopped thinking about you, because they need to convince themselves that they still have control. But here is the surprising part. The moments when they appear least expressive may be the moments they are feeling the most. That blank face may be restraint. That short reply may be self-protection. That sudden distance may be them trying not to reveal how deeply one look affected them. Except the restraint is creating another problem now. Because while they are trying to appear untouched, they are watching who gets the version of you they are denying themselves. And their jealousy is beginning to show in ways they do not realize you can see. It shows first in the silence. This Two of Swords energy is someone trying to keep their face neutral while their mind is reacting to everything. You are talking to someone else, laughing, giving them your full attention, and suddenly this person becomes quieter than they were a second ago. Their posture changes, their eyes move away, but not before checking how close you are standing, how long the conversation lasts. Whether your smile looks different with that person, they tell themselves not to care. Why did that bother me? Why am I noticing everything? Why does it feel like I am losing something I never claimed? Because that is the conflict. They know they have no official right to be jealous. They have not said what they feel. They have not given you anything clear enough to respond to. So the jealousy comes with guilt and frustration, mostly with themselves. Hold on. They may try to disguise it by asking a question that sounds casual, but is far too specific. How do you know them? Are you too close? What were you laughing about? Then they may add a joke, something light enough to deny, but sharp enough for you to feel the change underneath it. And if they think they revealed too much, they pull back immediately. They act detached. They become busy. They suddenly seem like they do not care at all. But that performance usually begins right after they have seen someone else receive the attention they secretly want from you. The Two of Swords shows them trying not to look directly at what is happening inside them. Because the jealousy is forcing them toward a truth they have avoided. While they are standing still, someone else may not be. That is what scares them. Not that you belong to anyone. You do not. It is the possibility that another person will recognize your effect, speak honestly, and step forward while they are still rehearsing. And here is the reversal they did not expect. Watching other people respond to you confirms that they were not imagining your magnetism. They see the way attention follows you. The way someone's expression changes when you smile. The way your presence pulls people closer without you demanding it. So now they understand that what affects them can affect someone else too. That realization is making restraint feel less safe, because every time they say, "I will wait," another part of them asks, "What exactly am I waiting for?" And I think this jealousy is about to push them into breaking one of their own rules. They have told themselves not to initiate, not to reveal too much, not to make the first move. But they are running out of ways to watch you from a distance and pretend that distance is enough. And distance is not what they are imagining anymore. This reversed Three of Wands energy feels like someone who has spent too long watching the possibility from far away, thinking about what could happen, planning the right moment, waiting for some perfect opening that never quite arrives. But privately, they have already moved much closer. In their mind, making a move is not loud. It is not some dramatic declaration. It is the two of you standing near enough that neither person can pretend the tension is accidental. It is your voice becoming softer because the space between you has changed. It is them asking one honest question and realizing they cannot take it back once it leaves their mouth. Have you felt this too? That is the sentence underneath everything. Because yes, they imagine your lips. But not only in the way you might think. They imagine what your mouth would say when there is no one else around, whether your voice would shake slightly, whether you would smile before answering, whether you would finally name the thing both of you have been circling. And your eyes matter because they do not believe they could hide from them in that moment. You would see the hope, the fear, the fact that this has affected them far more deeply than they planned. Hold on, what they crave most may not even be a kiss. It may be the second before one, the confirmation. The moment your eyes stay on theirs and neither of you steps away. The moment they understand that the tension did not live only inside their head. That you noticed it, carried it, maybe even waited for them to stop pretending. That is what drives the fantasy. Not possession. Recognition. The reverse 3 of Wands shows frustration with remaining in the realm of someday. They have imagined the conversation so many times that distance is beginning to feel like its own kind of exposure, because now every delay reveals how afraid they are, and I feel like they keep returning to one sign you gave them. Something small. Maybe you looked at their mouth, and then met their eyes. Maybe you leaned closer when you could have stayed where you were. Maybe your expression softened when they said something more personal than usual. You moved normally afterward, of course you did, but they did not. They carried that sign away and examined it from every angle. Was that intentional? Did they know what they were doing? Were they waiting to see what I would do next? And now they are not only imagining closeness, they are trying to decide whether you already invited it. And that invitation may have been much quieter than they expected. This Empress energy is not forceful, it does not chase, it does not over-explain, it simply responds, and that is exactly what they cannot stop thinking about. Maybe they looked away first, assuming the moment had passed, and, when they glanced back, your eyes were still there. Maybe you remembered something small they told you and brought it up later without realizing what that would mean to them. Maybe they made a comment with tension underneath it, and instead of ignoring it, you smiled. Not a polite smile, a knowing one, the kind that made them think, you heard what I was really saying, and then there was the silence. You did not rush to fill it, you did not turn the moment into a joke, you let it exist for 1 second longer than either of you normally would. That is the sign they keep returning to, because the Empress energy here feels receptive, warm, aware. You were not pushing them forward, but you were not shutting the door either. And to someone who has been searching your face for proof, that softness felt enormous. Still, they do not trust their own hope. One part of them says, you felt it too. Another part says, you are seeing what you want to see. So now they study the memory like there is an answer hidden inside it. How quickly did you look away? Did your smile begin before or after theirs? Did your voice become softer because you were nervous? Or because the conversation naturally changed? They are questioning everything. Hold on, they are not only watching you anymore. They are watching for evidence that you are watching them back. They notice whether your eyes find them when you enter a space, whether you react when their attention moves elsewhere, whether you become slightly more aware of yourself when they come closer, whether your expression changes before you have time to control it. And the strangest part is that they may deliberately look away just to see whether you notice. They may become quieter to see whether you ask what is wrong. They may leave a sentence unfinished to see whether you lean in and wait for the rest. These are small tests, careful ones, because they want confirmation without having to ask for it directly, but the masks are beginning to fail on both sides. There is an interaction coming where one of you will hold the look too long, answer too honestly, or let the silence reveal what the words have avoided. And once that happens, neither of you will be able to call this accidental anymore. And that is where this reversed devil energy becomes important, because the tension is no longer only exciting to them, it is becoming difficult to manage. They have tried to control it by keeping things light, by using humour, by pretending the attraction is nothing more than curiosity. But the next time you are close, that strategy may stop working. The interaction could begin completely normally. A simple question. A familiar joke. Something neither of you would think twice about on any other day. Then your eyes meet, and neither person looks away quickly enough. That is the moment. They will feel the entire conversation change before either of you says anything different. Their body becomes more still. Their attention narrows. Suddenly, they are no longer thinking about how they should appear. They are only aware of you, the way you are looking at them, the way your lips part slightly before you answer, the distance between you. Hold on, I feel like they will try to make the usual joke here, but it will not land the way they intended. Their voice may become quieter halfway through. The smile may disappear from their face because the truth underneath the humour suddenly feels too obvious. And you will notice. They will know you noticed. That is what weakens the final defence. The Nine of Wands has kept them standing behind caution for so long that they are exhausted. They cannot keep feeling everything and saying nothing. They cannot keep entering your presence with a rehearsed version of themselves and leaving with 10 things they wish they had said. The reversed devil here is the moment they realise the restraint has become its own kind of trap. Not the attraction, the hiding. So they may stand closer than usual, they may ask something unexpectedly personal, they may compliment you in a way that sounds simple at first, but the sincerity in their voice makes it impossible to dismiss. You look different when you are trying not to say something, or maybe you always do that. You might ask, do what? And then there is the pause, the one they normally escape by laughing, changing the subject, or looking away. But this time, they stay. Their eyes move over your expression, searching for one final sign that honesty will not destroy the connection. They forget the safe response they practiced, forget how to make it sound harmless. And when they finally speak, it may still sound casual. But it will not feel casual. They will look directly at you and ask, "Are you pretending you don't feel this too?" And the second that question leaves their mouth, they may almost regret it. Not because it is untrue, because it is the closest they have come to saying everything. This reverse solar eclipse energy feels like exposure arriving before they feel prepared for it. A hidden feeling crossing directly in front of the light, suddenly visible. Impossible to pretend it was never there. They may try to soften the question immediately. Laugh, look away, add, "I'm joking," even though neither of you believes that anymore. But their eyes will return to yours. They need to see what happens to your face. Whether your expression opens or closes, whether your lips curve into that familiar smile, whether you become still because you understand that they are not really asking about one moment. They are asking about all of them, every look, every pause, every time they acted distant because being close felt too revealing. Hold on, their confession may come apart in pieces. I don't know why I'm different around you. You make it difficult to act normal. I notice things I probably shouldn't. They may stop halfway through, frustrated with themselves because the words sound smaller than the feeling. This is not someone suddenly delivering a perfect speech. This is someone trying to remain protected while protection is no longer possible. So the truth comes out imperfectly, interrupted, maybe hidden inside a compliment that becomes too personal. They could tell you that your eyes make them forget what they were going to say, that your smile stays in their mind longer than it should, that they can always tell when you are holding something back because they have studied your expression more closely than they meant to. And underneath all of it is one sentence they may never say exactly. You affect me more than I want you to know. That is the confession. The reversed eclipse shows why this frightens them so deeply. Their fear is not only that you will reject them. Rejection would hurt, yes, but at least it would give them an answer. Their deeper fear is that you will confirm it, that you will admit the tension was real, because then they cannot return to pretending this is harmless. They would have to face what closeness could change, what honesty could ask of them, what it would mean to be seen by you and still remain. So they watch your eyes, then your lips, waiting for the response that will tell them whether to laugh it off and retreat behind the wall, or finally step through the opening they have spent all this time creating. And in that moment, the power is no longer in what they confess. It is in what you choose to say back. And what you say back does not need to rescue them from the discomfort of being honest. This reversed Five of Wands energy is where the struggle begins to quiet. Not because the attraction disappears, because the conflict can no longer be carried by one person watching, guessing, competing with possibilities, and fighting feelings they refuse to name. You do not need to prove that you noticed. You do not need to become more beautiful, more mysterious, or more available, so they finally find the courage to speak clearly. They already know your effect. They have known it in every moment their composure slipped, every time their walls became thinner, every time jealousy appeared in a question that was supposed to sound casual, every time they rehearsed the perfect words and then forgot them the second as your eyes met theirs. But attraction is not the same as readiness. That matters. Because someone can think about your lips, replay your smile, and feel exposed by your eyes, and still remain trapped inside their own hesitation. Their fixation tells you that the connection affects them. Their behaviour tells you whether they can handle that effect with honesty and respect. Hold on. This reversed Five of Wands also feels like the end of competing with their fear. They have treated vulnerability like an opponent. Every feeling had to be defeated, every sign had to be doubted, every impulse to move closer had to be argued with. But you cannot build closeness through an internal battle no one else is allowed to understand. So your response may be soft, it may be direct, it may simply make space for the truth without doing the work for them. You could hold their gaze and let them know you understood. You could ask what they actually mean. You could refuse to accept another joke when both of you know something real is underneath it, and that is where your power is. Not in making them obsessed, not in keeping them uncertain. In knowing that being intensely desired does not mean you must accept distance, mixed signals, or emotional inconsistency forever. Your eyes make them feel recognized because they sense that you can see beyond the performance. Your lips represent the answer they cannot control, the possibility that you will speak the truth they have avoided. That is what drives them insane, not beauty alone. It is the fear that you see who they are beneath the restraint, and the hope that you might still want them once they finally stop hiding. But now the choice belongs to both of you. They must decide whether to step forward with courage, and you must decide whether what they offer is worthy of the way they have been looking at you. Because being unforgettable is powerful, but being met with honesty is what you deserve.